25 interesting facts about South Africa. Fact number 1 is that South Africa was colonized by two European countries, the Netherlands and Great Britain. The Netherlands occupied South Africa first from 1652 to 1795. Then in 1795, South Africa came under the rule of Great Britain. However, the Netherlands regained control of South Africa again in 1803 and remained in power only for the next 3 years, after which the colony came under the rule of Great Britain again in 1806. Fact number 2 is that after the British had taken over the colony from the Netherlands, they wished to form a federation of their southern African colonies. However, they faced fierce opposition, specifically from the native Zulu tribe and the Boer, who were descendants of the former Dutch settlers, and some major wars had been fought between them. The Anglo-Zulu War took place between 1879 between the British Empire and the Zulu Kingdom. There had been some initial victories for the Zulu Kingdom, however, the war eventually ended in victory for the British on the 4th of July, 1879. The Boer Wars took place from 1880 to 1881 and from 1899 to 1902. During the First Boer War, the Boer were able to successfully resist the British by the use of guerrilla warfare tactics. However, during the Second Boer War, the British managed to succeed and the Boer Republic fell. It had been reported that over 27,000 Boer women and children had died in British concentration camps due to inadequate shelter, poor diet, bad hygiene, and overcrowding within the camps. Following the wars, modern-day South Africa, as we know it, was officially formed in 1910, when the country became a union through the South Africa Act of 1909, which had been passed by the British Parliament. The union would then have its own government, which was made up of mostly white people. Fact number 6 is that the Union was formed through the unification of the Cape Colony, Natal, Transvaal, and Orange Free State, which were all British colonies. Together they formed the Union of South Africa. However, the Union was still considered to be part of the British Empire. Fact number 7 is that there was disagreement among members within the newly formed Union on where exactly to put South Africa's capital. As a result, Pretoria became South Africa's administrative capital, Cape Town became South Africa's legislative capital, and Bloemfontein became South Africa's judicial capital. That is why South Africa has 3 capitals instead of just 1. Fact number 8 is that policies of racial segregation between white South Africans and native black South Africans were built into the new government system, with most of the power of the South African government being concentrated in the hands of white South Africans. Black South Africans were not allowed to vote in elections held in the Union, and out of 40 members within the Senate, native black South Africans had been represented by only 4 members. However, that was not even the worst that was yet to come, because fact number 9 is that apartheid began in South Africa in 1948 after the National Party had been elected into power. The policies of apartheid were enforced through the Population Registration Act of 1950, which classified all South Africans as either Bantu, which referred to all black South Africans, colored, referring to mixed race people, white, and a 4th category of Asians, which was later added to include Indians and Pakistanis. On the 31st of May 1961, South Africa gained independence from Britain and became a republic. This came after a referendum was held within the country. As it was still during the apartheid era, only white South Africans were allowed to vote on the referendum. The result was a narrow victory for voters on the side of becoming a republic. As a result, Queen Elizabeth II had lost her title of Queen of South Africa, and South Africa's last Governor General, Charles Roberts Swart, became the first South African state president. Fact number 13 is that in 1961, South Africa withdrew from the Commonwealth of Nations organization as a result of pressure from leaders of African states, as well as India and Canada, for the apartheid policies put in place by the government of South Africa. Fact number 14 is that the position of state president was mainly a symbolic role, however that had changed in 1983 when the South African constitution had been changed again, this time by the at the time South African Prime Minister P.W. Botha. Under the new constitution, the office of the Prime Minister was abolished, and instead the powers of the Prime Minister were given to the South African President. As a result, state president serves as both the head of parliament and the head of state of South Africa. Fact number 15 is that apartheid officially came to an end in 1994, after 46 years of appeals and protests. In 1992, a referendum was held among white South Africans on whether the apartheid governing system should be brought to an end, and around 68% voted in favor of ending apartheid. Fact number 16 is that a new constitution had been adopted in 1993, and the first election where black South Africans could vote and campaign took place the following year in 1994. The election took place between the 26th and 29th of April 1994. The voting took place over 4 days, and nearly 20 million votes had been counted during the election. The election ended in a massive victory for Nelson Mandela, who became South Africa's first black president and first truly democratically elected president. Nelson Mandela, along with his ANC party, won 252 seats within South Africa's National Assembly. And fact number 18 is that in 1994, after the fall of the apartheid government, South Africa rejoined the Commonwealth of Nations organization. Fact number 19 is that South Africa is the first and only African country that has legalized same-sex marriage. Same-sex marriage in South Africa has been legal since 2006, when the Civil Union Act was adopted. Fact number 20 is that South Africa is home to the world's deepest mine. Mponeng Mine, which is located in Gauteng province, goes as far down as 3.9 kilometers to the center of the earth. Fact number 21 is that South Africa is Africa's third largest economy behind Nigeria and Egypt. Fact number 22 is that South Africa has the largest white population within Africa, with white people representing around 7% of the South African population, with a little over 4.5 million people. Fact number 23 is that South Africa occupied its neighboring country, Namibia, for over 75 years. Namibia had formerly been a German colony. However, after World War I, Germany had been stripped of all of its colonies, which included Namibia. South Africa, which was still at the time a member of the British Empire, had captured and occupied modern-day Namibia from the Germans. And Namibia's name at the time had been changed from German Southwest Africa to just Southwest Africa. South Africa had even proposed that it be allowed to annex Southwest Africa. However, its proposal had been rejected by the United Nations General Assembly. However, the occupation of Namibia continued until 1990, when Namibia gained independence from South Africa through the South African Border War that had taken place between the South African Defense Force, representing the South African Apartheid government, and the People's Liberation Army of Namibia, which represented the Southwest African People's Organization, or SWAPO. Our final fact, fact number 25, is that South Africa does not celebrate its Independence Day, which took place on the 31st of May 1961. It's not even a public holiday in South Africa. Rather, they celebrate the 27th of April, which is Freedom Day, because it was on the 27th of April 1994 that the first truly democratic elections took place for all South Africans. Hence, they celebrate Freedom Day, because it is the day that all South Africans truly became free.